Welcome to our Mothers Out Front Massachusetts Climate Action Call. My name is Diane Sokol. I'm a member of the Brookline chapter, and I also work with the statewide campaign team. For those of you who are not familiar with the Mothers Out Front Climate Action Calls, in the next 45 minutes, you will learn about a specific climate issue, and we will take focused action together. Today, our statewide legislative team will be reviewing the energy bill that's currently in the State House and sharing how we may be able to influence what the Senate will be including in their energy bill. So here is a quick preview of the agenda for our climate action call today. After a brief overview of today's focus, we will hear a public narrative from Jane Mosier of Chelmsford. We will then hear the background information about our topic today and move on to our action. We have set aside about 15 minutes of this call to take action together. We will come back together for a few important announcements and next steps, and we will end this meeting promptly at 12:45. We do hope you'll stay until the end. Before we get going, I'll quickly go over a few norms for this meeting. As I've asked before, please rename yourself in Zoom to include your name, your city or town, and if you like, the team or organization you're with. Be sure to mute yourself when we are together in this main room. You should already be muted. And you can use the chat to share any comments or questions during the call. Closed captioning is available, and you should be able to access that tool at the bottom of the screen. And finally, we are recording this climate action call, so if you do not want to be seen in the recording, please use your Zoom controls to turn off your video. At the State House, the Senate is in the process of writing an energy bill. We believe that the Senate will take a broader view of energy legislation than the House did in their bill earlier this year, which focused narrowly on energy costs. We see an opportunity to reinforce the message that Mothers Out Front has delivered consistently to our state legislators, specifically that we need to stop gas expansion and to plan for a complete, swift, and equitable transition to clean heat. Today's climate action call will focus on connecting with your local state senator and asking that they communicate with the Senate leaders about our energy and climate priorities. Before we dive into the details of the energy bill, we will have a personal story about what happens when Mothers Out Front members make meaningful connections with our legislators. I would like to introduce Jane Mosier, a Mothers Out Front member from Chelmsford, formerly of Bedford, and she's a member of the Legislation and Regulation team. Jane is a constituent of Senator Michael Barrett, and we will hear more later about Barrett's important role in energy legislation. So welcome, Jane.
Thank you. I came to Mothers Out Front after a 15-year career in engineering, followed by a few years at home with my fabulous kids, Elle and Meg, and then another 15 years as a teacher. In both careers, I needed to do some public speaking, and I love lots of things about engineering and teaching, but I hated public speaking. So when I retired, I said, thank goodness I'll never have to speak in front of a crowd again. Surprised I'm here speaking to you? Me too. I've listened to climate action calls before, but I never expected to be speaking. So let me tell you how this happened. Last September, when a fellow activist asked me to help represent Chelmsford at the State House Sustainability Day, I said, absolutely. I'll produce all the materials if you do all the talking. And he agreed. Oh, by the way, Chelmsford's divided among 3 House representatives, Rodney Elliott, my own representative, Simon Cataldo, and Jim Arciero. The morning of Sustainability Day, I packed everything up, hopped in my car, and headed for Alewife. On the way, literally when I was en route to, my colleague called to say that he was sick and he wouldn't be coming. So if I kept going and got on that subway, I'd be the one speaking to Chelmsford trips and everyone else. I didn't feel duped. This guy loves talking. But I did feel physically sick myself. I'd never met any of our reps. I didn't know the issues like my friend did, and I hate doing this kind of thing. So I was faced with a challenge: either do the thing I'm terrified of, public speaking, or bail on the whole day. I chose to board the train and I spent the afternoon at the State House. I didn't know my way around the State House, so I found the right place by just following other people carrying stuff. In the course of the afternoon, Rodney Elliott and Simon Cataldo both stopped by. Simon first sent Anna O'Sullivan, his aide, and then he came back with her to learn more. Oh, and by the way, lesson learned, our third representative, Jim Arciero, didn't come because no one from Chelmsford invited him. So I talked to Rodney and Simon about Chelmsford's priorities, saving Mass Save, of course, and passing a modernized bottle bill. The bottle bill isn't a Mothers Out Front priority, but you may have read about it in the Boston Globe. Lots of people love that bottle bills decrease litter, and I love that they decrease the fossil fuel used to create virgin plastic. My legislators were really interested in what I had to say and asked lots of thoughtful questions. Some I could answer, and when I couldn't answer a question, I wrote it down and promised to get back to them. They didn't blink an eye. It turns out they didn't expect me to know everything. As I packed up at the end of the day, I was shocked at how energizing this all was. I was disappointed that we had goofed and didn't invite Jim Arciero, so I scheduled a meeting with him at our local library, presented Chelmsford's priorities, and he ended up co-sponsoring the bottle bill. Simon Cataldo did as well. And Sustainability Day was the first of the conversations I had with Rodney Elliott about Mass Save. You might ask, if I hate public speaking so much, why am I here in this Zoom telling you this story? Believe me, it's still not my idea of fun. But with each of these opportunities, I feel more confident that whatever knowledge I have is enough. In fact, I signed up to meet with my Senator, Mike Barrett, at Mass Power Forward's upcoming lobby day. I even offered that if they wanted us to have a side visit with Rodney Elliott, I'd lead that effort. So the message you should take is this: speaking with your legislator is going to be easier than you think. What you know is enough, and the relationships you're building are going to take you down some surprising and fruitful paths. And I think you'll find it all really energizing. And now I'm happy to say I'm done, and I'm glad I did this.
Thank you so much, Jane. That was a really great personal story. Um, Now I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Brad Dye, a stay-at-home dad from Concord and a member of our statewide communications team. Brad has many years of experience as a legislative aide on Beacon Hill, and he has also worked on political campaigns for many local legislators. Thank you, Brad.
Let's start with where we are in the legislative season and what the narrative around the bill is that we will be talking about today. 1 year ago, Governor Maura Healey proposed legislation to reduce consumer energy prices. That bill contained many provisions which promised to advance clean energy, but also had many provisions which we found concerning. We felt that the bill laid a good foundation for a conversation about our energy future, but that the focus was too narrow. Throughout the summer and fall, a troubling narrative arose around this bill. Legislators, particularly members of the House, focused their attention on the rising cost of energy. Some spoke about our past legislative victories for our climate as the cause of high consumer energy prices. By winter, this narrative had crystallized into what we're going to call energy cost legislation. The first version of the House bill would have repealed our state emissions reduction mandates and cut the Mass Save program's rebates and incentives to promote energy efficiency and electrification. Many legislators scapegoated the Mass Save program as the major contributor to higher prices, instead of reining in gas company profiteering through gas system expansion. When the House leadership unveiled this bill, it generated fierce backlash from environmental advocates, including us at Mothers Out Front, and also from rank and file representatives. The response was so strong, in fact, that in a rare move, the leadership paused deliberation on this bill and spent months reworking it. This past February, the House released a rewritten and a much improved bill, but it's still narrow energy cost legislation. Our advocacy led directly to key wins to improve the House plan, but the troubling narrative remained, and a drastic billion-dollar cut to Mass Save was added. So now here we are. Our state senators are discussing a broader energy bill. All of the early information that we have on this deliberation is that the Senate decision makers are not on board with a program-ending billion-dollar cut to Mass Save, and that they will not pit energy affordability against our shared climate goals. Importantly, senators are not yet adopting the cost-only narrative of Governor Healey and leaders in the House. This is our moment to make sure that the Mothers Out Front priorities are addressed in the Senate and then in the final bill. We are reinforcing our longstanding belief that the best action legislators can take is to end the incentives to gas companies to put more new pipes in the ground instead of taking steps toward retiring the gas system as we know it. 3 senators are our focus today. We will be reaching out to them through our own state senators. We are asking our senators to speak to Senator Barrett, Senate President Spilka, and Senator Rodericks, because they have the power to write the kind of legislation we want and to reject the dangerous narrative that climate solutions are the driving force behind rising energy prices. Senator Barrett has a leading role in drafting state energy policy as the co-chair of the Telecommunications, Utilities, and Energy Committee. In media interviews, meetings with advocates, and public speaking appearances, Senator Barrett has signaled that he does not believe the House narrative that climate solutions are the key cost drivers, and that the Senate should craft a broader bill that addresses energy cost but also keeps what works to combat climate change. Senator Barrett needs to know that we will support him, and we will advocate for this with our state reps and senators. From what we hear, Barrett has not yet finalized this bill, so we still have a chance to influence the details in the legislation. Karen Spilka is president of the Senate and sets the agenda for the Senate's work. Her enthusiasm for this work is critical. Support from Senator Barrett and President Spilka for broad climate legislation led to key victories in both of the last 2 legislative sessions. President Spilka needs to hear through constituents and through other senators that climate advocates are grateful for her steady support, and that we will have her back and we will have the Senate's back to continue this momentum in energy legislation. Senator Rodericks is the chair of the powerful Senate Ways and Means Committee, which will likely hold the pen when finalizing the energy bill. In the past, he has been sympathetic to the belief that utility profiteering should be reined in. However, he is generally regarded as more conservative and has a strong challenger from the right in this year's election. He may be susceptible to the utilities narrative that climate solutions are driving up consumer energy prices. Both Senator Barrett and Senator Rodericks are likely to be the chief negotiators with their House counterparts in the conference committee. Mothers Out Front priority bills are a centerpiece of our Clean, Affordable Heat Now campaign. We are asking our senators to include these priorities in their Senate energy bill. Senators have to answer to constituents about high energy bills. So we have to address those concerns in how we talk about our priorities. We haven't stopped caring about our children's future, and we see energy affordability as a critical part of reaching our goals for a livable climate future. Next, we will cover in more detail the important provisions that we want to keep in the broader energy bill. No cuts to Mass Save, no expanding the gas system, limiting the GSEP program, the Gas System Enhancement Program, or GSEP, to repairing instead of replacing leaking gas pipes, and then systematically electrifying whole neighborhoods. Now, Felicia Mednick of Amherst and our liaison to the Springfield Climate Justice Coalition will give the details on these priorities.
Hi, everybody. So I want to start by saying that it makes no sense to cut Mass Save. When a customer looks at her energy bill, the small piece of it that goes to Mass Save is a minor cost. That isn't what's driving high costs, but it is the easiest thing for legislators to change. We must protect the Mass Save subsidies for weatherization and electrification upgrades. Mass Save works as designed. The program returns over $3 in savings for every dollar spent and has made Massachusetts a national leader in energy efficiency. And since 2025, the Mass Save program has focused successfully on meeting the needs of low and moderate income families and renters. Cutting the program now would hurt them the most. Mass Save was already cut by $500 million last year. Another $1 billion cut would likely halt all planned work in 2027, canceling thousands of projects and putting tens of thousands of people out of work. Subsidies for building efficient, affordable housing would end. The cuts would effectively destroy Mass Save through permanent damage to the workforce, to participating contractors, and to confidence in the program. Energy efficiency reduces building emissions, which is key to meeting our climate goals. Every unit of energy we save through efficiency reduces the demand for expensive fossil fuel infrastructure upgrades, which saves everyone money and speeds the transition to clean energy. We need utilities to stop charging ratepayers for the cost of expanding and upgrading an obsolete gas system. This means, 1, stop permitting of new or expanded gas pipelines, like the proposed pipeline in Springfield. 2, limit what utilities can spend on pipe replacement under the costly Gas System Enhancement Program, also known as GSEP. 3, prioritize repairs of pipes at a fraction of the cost of replacing them. Change the financial incentives that motivate the gas companies to choose the most expensive option. And 4, retire pipe segments where feasible and electrify homes. Despite Department of Public Utilities, DPU, mandates, the gas companies keep claiming these non-pipeline alternatives are not possible. So, legislative action is needed to reinforce the DPU mandates. To meet the state's climate goals, we need legislation that supports electrifying whole neighborhoods with investments in energy efficiency and clean energy. Right now, we depend on house-by-house changes initiated by individual homeowners. We need neighborhood-by-neighborhood solutions for a more cost-effective and equitable transition. And municipalities need the tools to promote electrification as an alternative to fossil fuel dependence. Integrating long-term planning and coordination on electrification by the gas and electric companies is a key component of what will make this work. We will only achieve an equitable transition if we can change the narrative from one which pits climate goals against affordability to one that demonstrates that these objectives can work in harmony. In summary, the gas utilities must be stopped from building a shiny new gas system that brings them profits, but wastes ratepayer and taxpayer resources on infrastructure we don't need or want. We can't afford to continue building new gas infrastructure and create the smart grid that is needed for electrifying our buildings. We need to invest in the future and begin to leave the past behind. Our legislators need to be reminded that they hold our future in their hands. Instead of breaking a mass save program that works, we need to change GSEP, a program that never worked, and use part of those funds to invest in neighborhood electrification. Now, Andrea Rose, coordinator of our legislation and regulation team, will talk about the specific action we will be taking today.
Thank you, Felicia. So today's action has two parts. First, we will provide you with a template to email your hometown state senator, which asks your senator to support Mass Save funding, rein in GSEP costs, and provide a transition to affordable, clean energy. We ask them to communicate these priorities to Senate leadership. Second, we will join together with allies to promote our shared priorities at the Mass Power Forward Lobby Day next week. Deb will put the link for the action toolkit in the chat, but just wait a minute. After I go over the instructions, you can click on that link. First, in the toolkit, you will find a link to search for the name and email address of your state senator, and make sure to look for your state senator, not your representative. You'll find their email address and send them an email based on the sample we have in the toolkit. You'll be using your own email account to send the message. Please customize the sample, especially the subject line, and explain what you care about and who you are. And we ask you to BCC us so that we can track which senators we reached. For those of you whose senator is Michael Barrett or President Spilka or Michael Rodrigues, there is a separate sample email with slightly different wording to direct to them in the toolkit. For the second action, you'll find the link to RSVP for the Mass Power Forward Lobby Day to meet with your senator in your town or locality or virtually. The Mass Power Forward Coalition includes most climate organizations in the state, and Mothers Out Front actively supports the collective campaigns. Joining their lobby day is a really good way to get to talk with your senator and show a unified front as a climate movement. Although some meetings may be scheduled later, May 12th is only a week away, so you're not guaranteed that someone has already arranged a meeting for your senator, but if they have, you'll be contacted so you can join them. And the Mass Power Forward priorities are similar to Mothers Out Front. We overlap a lot, but they're not identical. So we're asking everybody to only discuss the coalition's priorities during these meetings. After the meeting ends, you can give the senator the Mothers Out Front priority document, which is in the toolkit, or email it if your meeting was virtual. Now, Diane's going to go over a few details before we begin the action.
Thank you, Andra. Deb, can you drop that toolkit link one more time into the chat? That would be great. So you just click on that link and the toolkit will automatically open up. So we're all going to be quiet for the next few minutes so we can take these actions together. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat. If you're really struggling with the tech, don't worry. You'll get all these instructions again by email later today or tomorrow. But if possible, get them done right now. We'll see you back here about 12:40, maybe a minute or two after that. Thank you. We'll do our closing and you can finish up later if you haven't finished your emails yet to your senators. So we're at the end of our time and hope that you were able to complete the actions. If not, you can do it later. For me, hearing Jane's personal narrative makes me hopeful that some of the emails we send today will be the start of deeper relationships when we meet with our senators. It's going to take a lot of people to tip the scales in favor of real climate solutions. But when we gather together and when we join forces with our allies in the climate movement, we can be a real force for change. And this was clear last fall when we helped to stop the progress of the original narrow House energy bill. So in the next day or so, you will receive a follow-up email. It will have links to the toolkit we shared today, a PDF of these slides, and a recording of this call. We encourage you to forward that email to your friends and colleagues across the entire Commonwealth to make sure that we get this message out to all of our state senators. Tell your friends about what you learned today and the critical need to take action now. Sorry. Mothers Out Front hosts a welcome call every month. The next one is this Friday, May 8th at noontime. If you are new to Mothers Out Front, we hope you will join us. If you have asked yourself, what more could I be doing to stop climate change, then this is the right event for you. In this 45-minute Zoom call, we will work to help you identify the U-shaped hole in this movement. We want to help you find ways to use your unique talents, your skills, and your experiences to build a stronger, more effective, and more inclusive movement for change. So join us and bring a friend. Deb will put that link into the chat. And finally, we want this climate action call to be on your calendar every month. Our next climate action call will be on Tuesday, June 2nd at noontime. Register now, add it to your calendar, and you'll receive the Zoom link and a reminder email. Deb will put that link in the chat also. So many thanks to all of you for joining to take action together today. Special thanks to our new speakers and to our tech support team working behind the Zoom screen here. So do watch your email for the follow-up info to share with others to spread this action. We hope we'll see you again next month, Tuesday, June 2nd at noon.